Well, let's see who's up this late at night. Understand that I'm kind of a night owl anyway. And if anybody wants to join, it's 1 o'clock in the morning. And this is Facebook Live. I do different stuff during the day, but sometimes I also do things so people can actually see me for me, and know that the reason why I do different things. This week alone, I've talked to several different military. They weren't all Marines. There were several Army and a couple others that are just struggling with life, struggling with. I guess the only thing you could say is an identity, struggling with who they are, and that's not always a good thing. But it makes me think back to some really good friends I have and had and lost, and years ago. I'm hoping one day my daughter will see some of these, and I figured if people know they're on here, maybe people will tell her to come look at them, because this is me. I make as many mistakes as the next person. I have failed so many. I've failed more times than I've ever succeeded. But it's kind of funny, the people that say that I failed at certain things that I succeeded at, success is in the behind is part of the beholder. I've taken college. I've got my MBA, did all these classes. They didn't amount to much, but I still took them because I was required to. And it's funny, it's the self-education, the books that I read now that mean more than anything else, that tell us who we are. I remember I read the five love languages, and I read it. It's like, okay. And then I met a bunch of people, or had a lot of good friends getting married, or they're going through situations, and I gave them the book. There's been several others that I went out of my way to make sure to buy, like K-bars and stuff, and I give them one. Not just because they needed a little extra oomph to get through. When I was in the Marine Corps, one of the things that, it won't come to them right away, but a lot of the things that people remember about me is I did a lot of writing. It's funny, somebody that grammar's terrible, my spelling's terrible, my grammar is atrocious. I wrote. And I wrote to my friends, I wrote to my family, I wrote to people I didn't know, I wrote to people that I did know, and I always got letters back, and I did my best to keep up with people. I met some of the greatest people, and it wasn't through Facebook. MySpace didn't even exist yet. It was just through simple letters. And now I'm watching my friends, and they're contacting me, and this is one of my ways I vent, is to let people kind of know what's going on. I don't let you know who's going through it, but there's several people out there. There's one guy who's great guy, great Marine. His wife's pregnant, going through a bad divorce. She don't want him having anything to do with the kids. Another one in his 20s, just can't stop getting anger. And when he's in the Marine Corps, and it's making him depressed, but the anger's part of it. I have others that have anger and depression, others that have depression and suicidal, others that they don't see a way out. And so what I always try to do is, the reason why I tell people to talk to me is, you're right, I don't have all the answers. I'm not telling anybody I do. But I have a lot of great friends. Those people that I told you that just now that I wrote, they're still friends of mine. All the people that I've gotten to meet, I can find right now people to talk to other people. I may not be that person, but I know people are. I've got a friend, Father Jim Wheeler. He constantly is making sure I'm okay. I promise you, he's always making sure I'm okay, and I am sometimes. But he's in his 80s. They called him Father Trucker. Now, I always believe that fate and destiny have a hand in everything we do. There's a reason why people come into our lives. And I went to a Cursillo. Now, this does have part of the story. It's just sometimes you got to travel with me to get to the meaning of what I'm trying to talk about. And I went there, And there was one Franciscan, he was going through cancer. There was a couple other Franciscans. I learned a couple things on this journey. One, I learned what cursillo was. And when I was overseas, there was a guy with a chicken, a rainbow chicken. We thought the guy was gay. Just telling you, we thought he was gay, but we thought he was drunk and gay, but he wasn't. He was actually part of a cursillo, or the meaning of it, which happened in Spain. So when we were over in Rota, and went to a bar, and then it was right outside Castle de Columbus, which is one of the oldest castles in the world. And I didn't learn until 20 years later what the guy was even talking about, and it hit me after I went to Cursillo. But in this Cursillo, there was a Franciscan that had cancer. There were several that were talking to us. But I went to a new one. I went to a guy, and the reason why is they called him Father Trucker. Well, I started talking to a lot of truck drivers and helping them and stuff on the road. And I was like, you know what? This guy must have something to do with trucking or something. But it had nothing to do with trucking. And it turned out by talking to this person that we connected more on a spiritual level, more of a, just like old soulmates, just friends forever. And I realized that, yes, he was helping me, but I was thinking in my head, and I even asked him, I was like, would you ever have a problem? And he's like, I have a hard time getting out of my comfort zone. And he thinks he thinks I came into his life to help him out of his comfort zone. And I told him, if you stick around me, you will be pulled out of your comfort zone more times than you'll ever admit. And with all the stuff going on with the priests and with everything else, there's a lot of priests that are just, other priests ruined it for a lot of the great priests that are out there. The 2%, the 1%, just like the 2% in the Marine Corps, Marines, ruin it for the, 98% or 99%. But I told him, that's not what his mission is. That's not who he is. And now I am a Roman Catholic, but I've got friends that are Baptist, Christians. I got friends that are Buddhist. I got friends that are Muslims and Jewish. I've got friends in probably half of all the religions that are out there. And I look at religion as a way of helping people, not necessarily as a way of finding people to God and all that other stuff. But there's something about faith and something, and it's because people need it. Anyway, so Father Trucker, I started, the guys I couldn't help, I'd have him called. Then I learned there was other Marines, like I've got a first sergeant. He got out as a sergeant major. I'm not going to say his name, but if he sees this, he's going to be like, oh, really, Jeff? And there's like several of them. And I called him to this day, and I was like, hey, there's a Marine that needs help. Hey, can you talk to this Marine? Hey, can they come over there? And I started networking by helping people. When I came to Quincy, when I got back, we had a thing in Quincy that Bob Havermill helped start and create, was called Fishing for Freedom. And a lot of people know what it was and everything else. And I started helping out with that. I even sat on the board for a little bit and everything. And right now, I think the Gale family, and they do an outstanding job, and all the board members do. But I always thought I could bring all my brothers from the Marine Corps into town, which we still can. It goes on every year. The coronavirus isn't helping, but it's a big fishing tournament. Anyway, as I was going, while everything in life was happening, I ended up having a daughter. And my daughter has been a piece of me ever since the day, I found out about her. She wasn't born yet. I was there for the birth, and I was there. I cut the umbilical cord. I was in the hospital. I never left my daughter's side. The mother and I do not get along, and I've had to do things in order to protect my daughter, protect myself, stuff like that. But I always looked at it as in a community. I was always taught that a community raises a child. I was always taught, because in my family, never mind, now we're going back to my regular family, not my Marine Corps family. My aunt and uncle that were up in Pekin, Illinois, about 3 hours away, every holiday, every birthday, almost every single event, they would drive back to Quincy to my grandma's house. That's on the Coon side. The other side, everybody got together. So I always learned that no matter what goes on, the family's always there for you. They come in town. You may not always like what they got to say, but you're always happy they're there. And my family got older. They're still there. I still have a huge family, but now they're extended. And then I find myself helping all these people, and I realize I got through everything in my life by my friends and my family, by reaching out when I could. And I always promised that I would do the same, to give back. I don't know if what I do is right or wrong. How can anybody be that person to be able to say if it's right or wrong? I've opened up my heart. I've opened up my wallet. I've helped. Even when I've had nothing, I found a way to get something. And, it has caused a lot of depression in my life. But I look at my daughter and I was like, you know what? If I help this person, see, before it was if I help this person, somebody can help a Marine Corps brother of mine. Now it's if I help this person, if anything ever happens to my daughter when I'm not around, somebody will help her. And I've learned a couple things. If I'm willing to do it, inside of me, then I believe in others are willing to do it. But I know if there's not something I'm willing to do, I have a hard time trusting anybody else will do it either. So if you live outside the box, so then there's times like this where it's really quiet, and like I said, I'm always reading something, I'm always doing something, I'm always trying to better myself. But the best thing that all of us can do is reach out to those that need us the most. It's funny. I've said hi to people and like, what do you want? Like, it's a big deal. You can ask anybody. You talk about years ago when Facebook started going on there, I would actually put everybody's name in something great about them. I have 5,000 friends now at all times. And, friends come and go, and you learn that. Some of them delete, there's always a rotation. But it's funny because I still want to reach out to everybody. I still want to do that one nice thing. I send letters out, who does that anymore? But it boils down to this. What do I want in my daughter's life? What do I want in my fellow Marines' lives? What do I want to give back? I want to show them that even somebody like me who fights with depression inside myself, I reach out knowing that others will reach out. I reach out knowing that some of my friends have cancer right now. And I'm terrified of hospitals. I'm terrified of it because I lost a lot of my friends and family to cancer. But I reach out. Because like I said, nobody should have to go through it alone. I see Marines and Army, and then I started learning that people in my hometown. I put a thing on today, and the reason why I'm kind of doing this is I'm sure somebody's got a question. Who's this Adam guy? Well, he was never a Marine. He wasn't, anything other than a friend to those that knew him. But he took his life. Literally, I got a call saying Adam killed himself. And it's funny, that one weighs on me more than almost any of the others. And the reason why is because here I was pushing to help as many military as possible. I was sitting there trying to go into the 22, and it started becoming repetitive. It started becoming just like you're on a factory, like assembly line, We do it because we know it's right, and then all of a sudden we forget the meaning of it, or we know the meaning of it, but we keep going, through the movement, muscle memory. When Adam killed himself, it reminded me of my friends that died of cancer again. It reminded me of why we push every day. It reminded me how lucky I am to be a dad. My friend fought with his size. He fought with his sexuality. He fought with family that treated him like crap. He didn't, he loved going to Comic Cons. He loved slasher films. He loved Halloween. Because to him, a mask was his world. It was like fantasy was what he could get. And we could see it. But we did nothing about it. I bugged him quite a bit, though, too. All the time. I was like, Adam, do this. Hey, Adam. Now, Adam died a couple years ago. And then I had another friend of mine die of heart failure. Now, why is all this even relative? Why am I even on here talking about it? Because somebody knows somebody like this. But I had a friend named Paula. And my friend Paula, I got a call from one of my friends, Angie. And She goes, Paula's dead. And Paula was that person in high school, did not have a mean bone in her body, did not have anything ill will to send anybody. And the other day I found something. I found that she sent me a book she wrote, and she wanted me to read it because of my daughter. And I forgot all about this book that she wrote, and I did read it to my daughter. But I left it on my computer. I left it on my hard drives. Paula was that person that, she would smile even though people made fun of her. She would smile in the worst of situations because she wanted others to smile. She didn't look at herself negative. She looked at herself as somebody that was a friend to everybody, no matter what they did to her. Paula and Adam, we're all in the same class together. Paula always wanted to have a kid. She always dreamed of having her perfect family. She had a truck driver husband who she loved, and she had her group of friends who they would go back and forth. But Paula was one of those that they purposely tried to upset her, but they couldn't do it. Paula couldn't have a baby because she had a weak heart. I didn't know that. All I know is in high school, she was that one person that was so nice that when the teachers started making fun of her, teachers started... I remember me and Charlie Shortridge got up and we're like, you know what? You're going to do that to her? Nah, we're going to. See ya. And it was kind of like we did it because we knew how much she did for everybody else. And she never forgot that. She never forgot the one time that somebody did something for her to do the right thing for the right reason. Paula sent me a Christmas card every year. And the last one I didn't open. I got busy and everything else. And it ended up getting in with everything else. I didn't even know I had it. And I opened it up, and once again, here's Paula. She didn't have to do anything for anybody, but we were her friends. And for her friends, that was priceless. Now, I sent them Christmas cards too and stuff. But for some reason, I find these things after the fact, like a little thing in the back of my mind telling me, look, there's things worse. Paula, I found out, went into the doctor's office because she was having some complications. And when she went into the doctor's office, they put her in her room. This is what I heard. And when the doctor came in, she was already gone. Her heart gave up. Her heart gave out. But Paula went loving life. She went knowing how precious life was. And some of us, we take things like that for granted every day. And that's one of my friends that I will do everything in my power to always remember, to always do my best to let people know. I had another friend named Jeremy Fletcher. He had bone cancer and he ended up dying. Now, what do all these have in common? None of them are military. My military family is important, and we all have each other's backs and everything else. But the people that I grew up with, they are just as important. And tonight we had our fireside chat, and I started thinking, people, they give up so easy. But some of us out there, we struggle not to give up. Others, they have everything in the world, and all of a sudden they give up because, this isn't possible. Well, it's not possible because you didn't work for it. It's not possible because you didn't try. It's not possible because you didn't seek out the people that can help you. And sometimes we all realize that we are those people. But when it's quiet in the middle of the night, I go and I think about everybody that's having issues. I've got a good life. I mean, I've struggled. I'm still struggling to this day. I'm fighting for my daughter in court again. I haven't seen or heard from my daughter since April. A lot of people don't know that. I didn't get to be there for her 13th birthday, and it's killed me every single day. Because she became the same age that I was when I lost my mom. And granted, her mom took advantage of the situation. And they took advantage of the coronavirus. And they took advantage of, what I did to protect my daughter. They used, I always say I'm not my daughter's friend. I'm her dad. And it kills me to this day. Now, will everything be okay? Yeah, it will, because it has to be. But it's a life lesson again. It's learning. Something getting in our way, an obstacle. This is an obstacle. So that we can be better later on. We don't know what happens after death. Yes, people will quote you Bible quotes, and they'll quote you stuff from the Quran, or they'll quote you stuff from, all these different religions. But, here's the fact. We don't know what death is. And you know what's even funnier? We don't know what life is. How can something come from nothing? That's where faith comes in. Whether it was that speck of dust that created, or the Big Bang, what created it? How did it get created? Those answers will never be there for anybody at any time ever. When we die, we don't know if we die and go to heaven. We don't know. Hell's a somewhat new transition since Dante's Inferno, but believe it or not, most religions never even believed in a hell. They believed in punishment. So this is my point. What we do here and now is what is important. What we do here and now is what matters the most. What we do here and now is the only time we have. We can't go back in time. We can't go forward in time. All we have is right now. And the only thing we have is each other that's surrounding us. You can choose to hold a grudge and anger and, keep changing stories and exaggerating and, hating on people. You can choose not to forgive yourself so you're miserable. But it boils down to this. What good does it take to hold on to depression, to hold on to fear, to hold on to hate and anger, when deep down you're hating yourself? There are certain things that I know people, they can't get over. We're all kids at one time. We've all made mistakes. And sometimes I talk like this just so I can convince myself that everything's okay. But we're all sinners, Father was talking to me, and I was like, we have to forgive ourselves. He goes, you do know that's in the Lord's Prayer, right? And I'm looking at him like, now think about it. I'm 41 years old. I'm a Catholic. I said the Lord's Prayer more times you can imagine, everything else. And it's funny, a simple thing that I said all the time, all of a sudden I got to the next level, which I got to hear something in my head. Forgive us our trespasses as we forgive those who trespass against us. In other words, we need to forgive ourselves. It's funny. All these things come about when you least expect it. Like the Cursil stuff. I didn't know for almost 20 years later that that's what the guy was talking about. But I remembered it. I even took a picture of him and the rooster. It was kind of funny, actually. I hold on to memories because one day that's all we will all be, is a memory. I just want to make sure that everybody knows they're important every day. Because maybe somebody will think I'm important. Maybe that I won't know it. I don't want to know it. I don't want publicity. I've never wanted publicity or anything for being a dad or anything I do. I just want to get to a platform to be able to tell people, just look right at them and tell them with all the meaning of my heart that they matter. And if it affects just one person out of 1,000, that's one person we can make a difference in. It's one person that can carry the word, that can carry the complete satisfaction of knowing that they matter. And it goes back to the starfish analogy. You don't have to save them all. You can try. It's not going to happen. But just saving one, think about the difference it made in that one's life. And it's funny is because I've seen the ocean. I've seen in the morning after the tide, goes back out, all the different fish and seashells and crabs and everything else that are now stuck on the beach. That within a couple hours, that's going to be the last, of their life. Every day when we get up in the morning, there's somebody contemplating taking their life. Every morning when we get up, the beach is covered with starfish again. Covered with everywhere from jellyfish to starfish, you name it. We can choose to ignore it, that it doesn't go on, or we can choose to do something about it. Doing something about it is the hard part, because nobody has the answers. We can make awareness. We all have depression. We've all contemplated suicide. That's, if you don't, then there's something wrong with you. But you mix those feelings in with what the Vietnam vets had to go through. You mix those feelings in of what had to go on in Afghanistan and Iraq. You put that in there with people that have lost their jobs, that are losing people with coronavirus or just losing people due to old age. We have to cherish what we have today. I have to cherish what we have today. I've forgiven everybody in my heart that's even done wrong. I've even forgiven my daughter's mother time and time again. Not because I like her, because I want my daughter to see that we can forgive. And for those that lie and everything else, lies do catch up. They do come and bite us in the ass. Let's face it. They do. But it's how we handle ourselves. It's how we carry ourselves. We're always told, head up, head up. The Marine Corps, there's no discharge on the ground. Head up, head up. Why? If you hold your head high, then others will hold their head high. Then others will look at you and be like, hey, that person, if they can do it, I can do it. If you can do it, they can do it. If I can do it, you can do it. The world's always going to be full of negativity. There's nothing we can do about it. The world's always going to be full of power-hungry people that want to control, that want to rule, a bunch of fake politicians and fake media and, people that, what was it? It wasn't Gorbachev. It was Schwarzkopf during the first Iraq, during with Kuwait and everything. A lot of people don't know that he refused to come out of his bunker. Was it General Schwarzkopf, I believe it was. Now, on TV, he looked like the greatest guy in the world. Behind the scenes, wouldn't even come out of his bunker. He's too scared. He's scared of his own shadow. And the soldiers that he led saw that. He couldn't even fake the funk. Now, a lot of people won't tell you about that. But sometimes you got to do the things that scare you. Being scared is not dangerous. Being fearful is not dangerous. It doesn't equal danger. You just got to go out and do it. And you have to evaluate it. I'm right now thinking in the process of all these different things that we can do or say or think. This is my idea time. I can't sleep, so I think. I put it out there because, like I said, if people see it, if they know me, maybe they'll reach out to me if they need help. Maybe I can reach out to them. I don't even know if there's anybody on this right now. Is there anybody on here right now? Give me a thumbs up. Like I said, tonight I'm just thinking. And I'm thinking it's a good time to read The Dream Giver again to everybody. So that you know what it is to go from ordinary to extraordinary. We're going to get through the coronavirus. We're going to get through all these lockdowns just fine. The human race will endure, but it's what we're doing during these lockdowns, what we're accomplishing, what, the things, not, how can we be better? How can we do better? Church is closed. Well, why don't people just call each other and pray on the phone? Okay, sports events are all closed. Okay, so call your buddies on the phone or, turn on something, do something. Something's always better than nothing. Something is what gets us through. It's who we are, I guess. And like I said, I'm just sharing my thoughts tonight, what's in my mind, what's on my heart and in my head. And I really do want people to know they matter. I wish I could hear my mom tell me she's proud of me again. I wish I could hear my mom, but those voices begin to fade. I can still see her in my mind, though, how beautiful she is, and I can see my grandfathers. We all make mistakes. Now, have I made one? No. But we all make mistakes. So what? We're human. Can't take it with you when you die. But you know what you can take with you when you die? Knowing you did the best you could. Knowing that you actually took that extra step when no one thought you could. When you fight back, even if you're not strong or have a prayer, but you still fight back. To always keep hope alive. So we just need to learn to reach out to people. We need to learn to be better. We need to learn that there are people that need us. It doesn't cost money to be a friend. It doesn't cost money to be polite. It doesn't cost money to lead. You know what does cost money? Fake stuff, that material objects that mean nothing. And we get it, but doesn't fill that gap. It doesn't fill that hole. It doesn't fill whatever you're yearning for inside. My friend Paula and Adam, well, Paula especially, what would she have done just for one more day? Even after all the negativity, what would she have done just for one more day? I can promise you she would have done anything and everything. But we have to move on. So what I'm going to do, and if you want to listen, that's fine. I am going to stop this live feed, and I'm going to read the Dream Giver again. And if you want to listen, great. If you want to pop on and read also with me, you're more than welcome to. I can bring you on live. Probably nobody awake right now anyway, except all the night owls. But I think it's something that we need to keep reminding ourselves that what we do matters. Who we are matters. We need to go from ordinary to extraordinary. You help enough people get to the top, they'll pull you up. Not everybody. There's some greedy people out there. Not everybody's going to be perfect. There's always the 1% to 2%. But you can't judge everybody based on the 1% or 2%. You can't judge everybody based on what is being said or told or thrown around. You have to base it off of faith. You have to base it off of being a good person. And I've been blessed. I've had a lot of great people in my life. And believe it or not, some of my worst enemies, people that I didn't get along with, I actually miss them now. I actually miss people I had disagreements with. Why? Because I gave them time and they gave me time. But in the end, what are we doing to make a difference? What am I doing to make a difference? What can we do to make things better? So I'm going to stop it here. I am then going to turn it back on, and I will read one of my favorite books. I have one, The Dream Giver for Parents. And that's what we'll do. So, anyway, if you're online, you want to listen, go right ahead. I'm going to stop this, and then I'm going to start up again. So, I will talk with everybody in just a few minutes. And like I said, if you have questions about, I've read this book many times, I'm just going to start reading it. So if you got questions or want to talk about something while getting ideas from what I'm reading you, then comment. Then, post something and we can talk about it. Because I promise you, if you're not the only person thinking whatever the questions are, people need to hear from you. And if I read The Dream Giver and you have questions about something, ask. Otherwise, I may just bore you to death. So, all right, let's do that. Before I finish off, before I do this, hold on. Remember, people in your life matter. Don't forget those that are passed on. Don't forget those that would give anything to have one more day. And never forget you're loved. All right, I'm going to pause this, or I'm going to stop this, and then go live with The Dream Giver. If I can figure out how the button works.